outdoorsman who loves the fields and streams that filter through this land of ours and fill a sportsman's dreams. Enjoy what nature holds for us, her bounty never ends. Getting back to basics with the practical sportsman. It's always an adventure, no matter where we go. From a favorite hunting spot to the hottest fishing hole. Outdoor life we all can share with family and friends. We'll do it all together with a practical sportsman. We'll do it all together with a practical sportsman.
Hello, sportsmen. Last week was the 17th big buck night I've done on public television. We had over 100 trophy racks from all over the state, from the wilds of the western Upper Peninsula down to the most populated county in our state, Wayne County. Now, the one rack that we didn't see was one that has only been seen in a photograph. Is Mitch Rompola's buck an authentic world record? Where could it have come from? Hey, I'm Fred Trost. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about that on The Practical Sportsman. We'll get onto the discussion about that mystery buck, the one that everybody thinks could be a new world record. But first, I want to take care of some odds and ends here that we have left over from Big Buck Night. Now, there was a buck, a big buck, that we didn't have on Big Buck Night. It was an oversight. That was a 22-point buck that 20-year-old Donnie Bollinger from Gregory took early in the season. Now, he was at the buck pole at Mill Creek in Dexter. We put that video of his big buck on the air the week before Big Buck Night, but in the shuffle of the hundreds of applications we had, we goofed in not bringing him back for Big Buck Night. Now, believe me, you will see this rack and hear Donnie's story on this show. Now, another bit of unfinished business from Big Buck Night is the free one-week RV rentals, the Coleman folding camper trailer, the giveaway from Westland RV. Now, that was a part of the public TV special. The winners will be announced on the first show of 1999 on this program. And during our pre-taping of some of the racks on Big Buck Night, we came across a couple of interesting side notes we didn't have time to include last week, like Tim Hoffman, who got a 10, 11, 12 point, depending on who scores it. He got that in Clinton County. Now, the rack was small, but Tim's 14-year-old son was a key part of the story that we didn't have time to run last week. Here's the rest of the story.
Got a 6-point with a bow and this with the gun.
You got a little rack, though. I mean, and a lot of points.
Smallest one here.
But your son is a star hunter.
Yeah.
What did he do this year?
He went turkey hunting. First shot he took at a turkey, got a turkey. Goose season, first shot at a goose, he got a goose. Opening day bow season, first arrow he ever shot at a deer, he got an 8-point. Gun season, first shot he ever took at a deer with a gun, he got a spike.
Holy cow. Well, congratulations. Thanks. And your name?
John Hoffman.
John. Well, John's going to be the man.
Yeah.
You just got this 10, 11, 12, 13 points.
Yeah. I mean, this is just, he filled the freezer.
Way to go. Congratulations. We had another fellow named Brian Wood who got a big buck in Livingston County. The hat he was wearing caught my eye before we did our pre-taping with him. Now, here's the story behind his unusual hat band. Woodcock, hold it. Keep rolling it. Woodcock beaks.
Yeah.
Mind if I take this off? Oh, no, you got plenty of hair. Woodcock beaks. I've never seen anything like this before.
I field trial in the grouse and woodcock woods up in Gladwin, and these are some of my friends donated. This is kind of a community hat.
I'll be darned. That is unusual. I've never known anybody collected those. Interesting. There you go. Put your lid back on. Now you can tell us about the woodcock beaks. Well, how long is the tine on that woodcock?
My name's Brian Wood. I'm from Pinckney, Michigan. I shot this. And
there was another fellow who made quite a hit during our pre-taping. His name is Glenn Elliott. When we first started to roll the camera, he whipped on a pair of glasses and then started a pretty good parody of me.
What is the DNR doing with our money? This is Fred Trost here at the Practical Sportsman. We've got some big bucks this year. And what's the DNR doing? Can anybody tell me what the DNR is doing? Can anybody help me kill a buck? How come I can't kill a buck? All you guys with these big bucks and Fred Trost, I can't kill a buck?
Somebody... So what's your point? That's great. Tell me who you are and about this rack.
Okay, I'm Glenn Elliott from Kent County. and got this rack on this buck on November 29th, and was able to get him with bow and arrow, and out of Kent County, and it was a 9-point with a 21-inch spread and a 9.2-inch tine. It's double brow tines here, busted off, so could have been a 13.
How'd you get that buck? Huh?
I don't know. I've been watching Practical Sportsman for like 10 years.
I never got a buck like this.
This is my buck from last year, my 1997 buck, also from Kent County. So it's all about watching the Practical Sportsman.
You know what? I think you got to show your own. There you go.
Yeah.
You're the man.
What's going on with the DNR? What is the DNR doing?
What is the DNR doing? Now, that's a question that I've asked a lot. But one question that I've heard a lot lately is, what's going on with that world record buck? Is that for real? To tell you the truth, I don't know. The only photo that's been seen is one that Mitch Rampolla either took himself or had someone else take. Now, I'm not sure the origin of this photo, but it has been in the newspapers. This one came from the Detroit Free Press. This we printed from the internet. It's on the Traverse City Record Eagles website. Each of these newspapers has written several stories about the buck and about Mitch Rampolla and his sort of secretive behavior since he announced he got this buck. You can find these stories on the World Wide Web. The Free Press's articles are on www.freep.com and www.recordeagle.com for their articles. Check under sports. Now you can read Rich Wirtz's Record Eagle story on November 20th, it said, and I'm going to quote from the Record Eagle. He wrote, "Then his deer appeared. He waited for it to get closer, waited at 14 yards, waited at 12 yards, waited at 11 yards. He shot. The arrow hit. The deer fled. It took him 15 minutes to calm his heart. Then he went home, had some breakfast, called his girlfriend, and gathered his video equipment. He returned to the scene, turned on the video camera, and began tracking his deer. 5 minutes and 70 yards later, he found it. The trophy, locked away in a vault." Now, I'm going to stop here. Some people have been skeptical of this sequence of events. Of course, after shooting a buck this size, 10 yards away, why would a person leave the woods during hunting season when that deer could be stolen by somebody else, especially a buck with a 38-inch spread? Well, Mitch Rampolla locks it in a vault now. He won't show it to anybody. But after he shot it, he went home and had breakfast. Well, that means he got his buck very close to home, but he won't say where he got it. Now, the story that Mitch has told, his initial desire to make money off of the buck, then his complete turnaround and refusal to allow the rack to be inspected creates a little skepticism. Now, Eric Sharp's story in the Detroit Free Press on December 3rd, critics wonder, friends defend Rampolla. And on December 6th, Bill O'Brien wrote an article for the Traverse City Record Eagle. Mitch Rampolla answers his critics. Now, you can read these for yourself. You know, look them up on the web. But I wouldn't say that this article answered all the questions. Now, I'm going to deal with one question here that has come up in this article. The Rampolla family owns a deer farm in Missouri. Now, could that buck have been homegrown on this deer farm? Now, I don't know. I do know that Bill Yoder, who takes deer around to events in his fifth wheel trailer, has a deer farm in Clarksville. Now, he raises bucks to have big antlers. There is big money in big antlers, especially from elk. Bill Yoder told me about that when we were talking about his sponsors that help him grow big bucks for his big game shows. On your sign here, Bill, in front of your house, you got, of course, Yoder's North American Live Big Game Shows. But what are these two things under here? Tines Will Tell and Antler King?
Okay, this is one of my sponsors that given me my elk calves for show. He's in Delton, Michigan, and he sells velvet. He'll cut 150 bulls by July 3rd, and he sells that velvet off there. He started out as a hobby 8 years ago with 2 bulls. Now he's got probably 800 bulls.
800 elk?
Yep.
In Delton?
In Delton. He's got 4 farms over there, and most people don't know he's got them. It's really growing. But the velvet business is big. It sells from $60 to $80 a pound, so it's
Wow.
big business.
I'll be darned. Well, what is Antler King?
Okay, Antler
There
King
is
my other
big money
sponsor.
to be made in big antlers, which brings up the question, what could a deer farmer do besides breeding and feeding the deer supplements to increase antler size? Well, Bill Yoder tried an experiment with steroid implants this past year that didn't work for the antlers, but it affected the buck's body size and kept it in rut for 8 months. Look at
Look at the size of him.
Oh man, look at this. This is, now he's not coming up here with a very friendly
No,
posture.
he will kill you right now.
He will.
Yes. He's in rut. Still in full rut. This is May 21st.
Now his antlers have come off, right?
Right.
Well, that's interesting. I've never seen down those little holes there. How long ago did they come off?
They come off April 1st.
See if we can get him to put that nubbin. So, I wonder what that feels like there. I don't think I'm going to get a chance to tell.
I can open that up. But
Well, no, that's okay. You said, you just told us that he could kill us.
yeah, he will, but you
and
have to
would
get
like
him at the
to.
right second. So you can see he rubs his head on the fence like he's in rut. He's in rut yet.
And he's in rut. We need to explain this. We're talking the end of May. Why is he in rut? This is a lesson to you kids out there that want to be super athletes. We have a super athlete here, and look, he's ugly.
He's
Ugly
big
temper.
body. He's in full rut like he would be in November, December. We tried with a local veterinary, a steroid implant in his ear, which I wish I wouldn't have done, but no one's tried it, and we tried it, and it messed him up. It messed up Mother Nature, and he thinks it's still rut time, even though he's lost his antlers. His neck, you can see how huge he is.
Oh, yeah.
Muscles, because he's been rubbing all the time yet.
Well, you compare that neck with that neck on that
Yes,
doe that's a
and
little...
there's entirely, he weigh about 275 right now, and that is unreal for this time of year.
So by in rut, of course, for those viewers who might not know, that means that he thinks it's the breeding season still. He went through November, December, January, February, March, April, May.
8 months.
He's still,
Yep.
because of the steroids, screwed up in the head and in the body.
Last Monday night, we took him down and took him out of him because it was messing him up. We didn't know what to do. So we did take him out, but it still might take a month for him to get that out of his system. So it was kind of an experiment, and I shouldn't have done it on my real expensive bucks because, but we didn't know until we tried. And it's just like people trying steroids, to get bigger, it might get you in the long run where it'd kill you, but you shouldn't do it. You can't mess with Mother Nature. There's no way around it.
I mean, his posture, his feet, the way they're planted, his ears, he pulls back, his eyes even look.
Yep, he's ready to get you.
He really has a nasty look.
His hair's on end, standing right on
Oh,
end.
look at that. Look at on the back.
Yep, standing right on end.
No kidding. And yet he comes up and like
He'll
he's
lick
licking.
you, then he'll get you.
Now, when you say get me, would he bite?
No, he won't bite you, but he'd knock you down. Yeah, he was just,
He would knock you down and do what? Without antlers?
he'd just push you around, break your ribs or whatever without his antlers even. You can see where we took the implants out of his ear, right behind his ear.
Right behind his ear
Yep.
there. I'll be darned. Look at that hair is standing straight up on his back. Well, you are one. What's his name?
This is Neil.
Neil.
Yep. He's still wetting on it like it's rut. I told you, he's
Look at that
Dark.
dorsal back in there.
Yeah.
It's dark and it's wet.
wet.
So he does still urinate
Yeah,
on
he
the
still
tarsals,
does.
which puts some sort of odor out.
Yeah, he'll be scraping over here in a minute. He'll go do his thing, and
Wow.
and
Look
this
at
is
the
the
neck.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
And we won't do the steroids anymore, huh?
No, we won't. No,
So you thought that was a shortcut to what?
bigger antlers. We thought we know there's some people doing something to these deer and elk to make them really huge, but that's not it. It won't work on the deer family. It gives him a big body. I mean, he had a big body anyhow, but it just kept his body big like that.
Now, does he have to eat more? Bill Yoder's steroid experiment on growing big antlers didn't work, at least the way he did it. But you can see the difference between a normal buck on May 21st and Neil, the buck in rut. Neil's neck is huge, swollen. Buddy's neck is small and slim. The swollen neck is a characteristic of a buck in the breeding mode, which was an unexpected side effect of the steroid implants. Now, just because the implants didn't work for Bill Yoder on his buck doesn't mean that other people haven't figured out how to grow abnormally large and symmetrical deer antlers using other chemically or hormonally enhanced methods. Now, we do know that Mitch Rompola's family has a deer farm in Missouri. We do know that the Rompola buck is by far the largest and most symmetrical rack ever seen on a whitetail. We do know that there's big money to be made off a world record deer. And we do know that Mitch Rompola will not talk to anybody or show anybody the rack. Now, what we do know about the Rompola buck is that we don't know much about it, and Mitch isn't telling. So from our standpoint, there is no new world record buck in Michigan yet. There's only a picture that looks like one. Someday, hopefully, we'll know the truth, and I hope it's true. That would be exciting. It's been a warm summer and a warm fall, which hasn't made it easy to get into the mood for winter. But outboard motors that have spent their share of time partially submerged in water during the summer should be winterized, which means making sure the motor didn't have any cracks or seals that leaked water into the gear case during the summer. Ray Krosky at Mill Creek Sports in Dexter winterizes outboard motors, and he also repairs the damage to motors that have not been winterized.
One of the big problems that we see is that people will not drain the gear case before wintertime hits, and that can be disastrous possibly.
Okay, now gear case, we're talking the lower unit of an outboard motor here. Of course, this is a bigger one, a big Merc. And it has here a screw on this side, it says vent, and there's another one down here, it doesn't say anything. So I'd presume what you do is you open up that one, and it drains out.
That's the easy part, you're right.
Okay, so we have it drained out, and you said it needed to be drained.
Right. The reason it needs to be drained is just by the very nature, you have your shafts and propellers spinning underwater. It's just bound to happen at some point that the gear case will take on water. Everything's underwater in your gear case. Some water may leach in at that point. If you go the winter time,
even on a good motor?
Oh, absolutely, it's possible. It doesn't happen often on a good motor or a motor that's holding its seals well, but like I say, again, it can happen. It's critical that you drain the gear oil before winter hits, before a freezing temperature can get to that.
So what you're trying to do, are you saying, is trying to drain the water out?
Well, hopefully there's no water in there, but you don't know that. So yes, you're draining the gear oil should there be water in there.
Okay, now here's the lower unit on it's like a Johnson or an Evinrude or something like that. That crack there means?
That crack there means that this particular gear case was not drained before winter hit. As the gear case sat in its storage, the water went to the bottom of the gear oil and it froze right there, cracking the gear case.
And then this gets more expensive.
That's devastating.
That's devastating right there. In fact, you can even see the crack on the inside. So that's shot.
Yeah, that's shot.
Okay, now what do you do?
Well,
what's the solution?
Like you said, the first step is you just drain it. You want to make sure the engine is straight up and down, drain the gear case, and that will expel any water that may be mixed in. Now, the important thing is a lot of people are in the habit of draining in the fall before winter, but then what they do is they think it's okay to let it set all winter with no gear oil in it. And that's what happens here. You don't want to do that.
These are the gears.
Right. The gears are sitting in the gear case naked with no gear oil on them, and any moisture condensation that's going to happen through the winter, that's what they're going to end up looking like.
And this is no good.
Those are shot.
What kind of expense are you talking about if you have to get new gears?
It's very expensive. Some motors may not even justify it. Small motors, these gear sets can be hundreds of dollars. Obviously, if you have a very large motor, that can justify the repair, but still you're talking even more dollars, $500, $600 possibly.
So the idea is then you get oil in this.
Back in the gear case.
Back in the gear case. And how do you do that?
You've got your screws out already. It's already drained. The thing that people have a hard time concept, you have to fill from the bottom. You fill from the bottom hole, and you fill the gear case until it comes out the vent hole. That's why that one's called the vent. And when the gear oil comes out, it's nice to have a friend with you. When the gear oil comes out, you reinsert this screw here, and then you pull your device out of the bottom, and as swiftly as you can, you reinstall the bottom screw. And that'll entrap the gear oil in.
You don't put a little bit more on top to top it off?
No reason to do that.
Okay,
Not unless you lost a cord out the bottom.
But the way you get it in the bottom is you have the special little pump on the... on the loop?
That's what we use. A lot of people use the little tubes, and those are fine.
So what happens here when you do this? This is the oil, it's blue?
This particular oil is a green, right. What happens here is, if you can pretend this is your gear case, and you're coming in the bottom, the fluid, when you pump this in, however you do it, the fluid is rising from the bottom, expelling all of the air out. And if you transversely, you could never pour gear oil in here, get around all those gears, and expel all the air. That's why it has to be filled from the bottom.
Well, give me a couple pumps here just to see what, and how much oil will be in a gear case.
Well, small outboard motors may only need one of the very small little tubes. Larger motors can use as much as a couple of quarts. Stern drives might use more than that even.
So the idea is this fall, drain the motor to make sure that you don't have any oil or water mixed in with the oil, and then fill it from the bottom with new oil.
Absolutely.
Plug it up, make sure it's tight, and you're all set.
And you're all set. If somehow you did see that your gear oil, what you thought had water in it, obviously you may want to find out why that's doing that, because you don't want to go in the lake next summer and know that it's taking on water. That's not good, of course.
Where would it take in water?
There's a lot of areas. There's seals all around here. There's seals up in this area here. You may want to inspect it for cracks. Obviously that's too late, but there's no reason to be running around if you can physically find a crack.
The moral of the story is that outboard motors are designed to run when they're partially submerged in water. But if any of that water leaks into the gear case and freezes during the winter, you could be in for some expensive repairs. The practical thing to do is to winterize the gear case. That could save you a lot of money and a lot of hassle when you want to use your outboard motor next summer. Now right down here, this is the Kalamazoo River. A fellow named Ben Knoll, he's a steelhead fisherman. In fact, he catches all kinds of things. A couple years ago, at this time of year, he caught a 38-inch, 35-pound carp. That's what you can catch sometimes when you're steelhead fishing. Carping is kind of a good description of what's going on in the outdoors recently. I know internationally and nationally things are far more severe than that, but there's been a lot of turmoil in the outdoor industry, and this whole thing over Area 452 is not done yet. This just in. This is a lawsuit against the State Department of Agriculture by 4 sportsmen who are protesting that no feeding policy for the winter that's going to starve a lot of deer up there. By the way, don't have time to get into this right now. We'll do a little bit on this next week. Anyway, get independent. Get outdoors. Get in an RV and hit the road. Get it winterized and enjoy yourself. The outdoors is a great place to be. See you next week.
This year. And what's the DNR doing? Can anybody tell me what the DNR is doing? Can anybody help me kill a buck? How come I can't kill a buck? All you guys are these big bucks, and Fred Trost, I can't kill a buck. Somebody.
So what's your point? That's great. Tell me who you are and about this rack.
Okay, I'm Glenn Elliott from Kent County, and got this rack on this buck on November 29th, and was able to get him with bow and arrow, and out of Kent County, and it was a 9-point with a 21-inch spread and a 9.2-inch tine. It's double brow tines here, busted off, so could have been a 13.
How'd you get that buck? Huh?
I don't know. I've been watching Practical Sportsman for like 10 years.
I never got a buck like this.
This is my buck from last year, my 1997 buck, also from Kent County. So it's all about watching the Practical Sportsman.
You know what? I think you got a show of your own. There you go.
Yeah.
You're the man.
What's going on with the DNR? What is the DNR doing?